Greetings, my golden friends. Today we have another episode from Belarus, and today is December 12th. And when I looked at the time, it was 11:33 a.m. So interesting numbers. Topic for discussion today is very important, very deep. Power of your heart. Everybody has a heart, but unfortunately, not everybody has it fully operational. And we're gonna talk aspects of uh, the heart, and also it's going to be some suggestions, some interesting quotes. So I suggest for you, those who are on your spiritual path, get a paper, pen, write things down, pause, think, contemplate, discuss it with your spiritual group, um, and maybe also write some comments, some really good comments, so you can help other people. Maybe something you know about the heart that you want to share with other people. So it's always a good idea. And I want to apologize in the beginning. I started to write my scripts in Russian language, and I've noticed that it's making a huge toll on quality of English videos, because I simultaneously record it for both channels, English and Russian. So I'm looking at my notes and I have to translate certain things, and sometimes it just doesn't work as quick as you would like to. So my apologies. So let's begin. Um, so you have the power within you, and you have the heart within your body. And all religions are saying pretty much the same thing. Look into your heart, worship your heart. It is within your heart. The power is within you, you know. So I'm not trying to convince you something totally new and something totally different. I'm just repeating what has been said again and again by wise people from the past, and just certain things that I would add from my probably point of view, and also it's going to be some quotes from scriptures, from spiritual scriptures, and at the end it's going to be a practice, which is not everybody probably can start with, but at least you know about it. It's knowledge is power. I was inspired to record this particular video about this particular topic because of the funeral. My mother passed away a few days ago, and there were a lot of people who were hugging me and shaking my hand, you know, condolences and stuff like that. And I was feeling very different emotions after each person hugging me and each person is talking to me. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. Some people have the heart really powerfully strong, activated, and some people are very weak and it just barely working, barely operating. So I was inspired to record this video. And what's interesting, the word inspire, from inspiration. When we breathe, and there's going to be a lot of connection between your heart and your breathing, because your heart is located right between your lungs. So as you breathe, oxygen and other things are going into your heart, and from that point it redistributes through your whole body by arteries and veins. So your heart takes in the most potent energy, primary energy, the oxygen and other things that we're going to talk about. Um, and you cannot live without breathing for more than like 5 minutes, 3 minutes, something like that. It's a primary source of energy for you. Then it goes liquids that you drink. It's also prana intake. Also, food that you eat goes into your stomach and the fire of your digestion. And we're going to talk about connection, the heart and the stomach. It's same energy that it's warming up the heart, same energy warming up your food in the stomach. So, and what else do I have here? So yeah, I felt sometimes when I was hugging some people during the funeral, like it's hugging a rock. Like you don't feel anything, or hugging something that is not really alive. So it was a little scary at some points for me because you would think people come and they want to help you, but sometimes people hug you and they stab you in the back. You don't know. So when your heart starts to operate more and more, your intuition goes up and you start feeling who is really who. Because a lot of people will smile, right? The villain, the criminals will smile and they will stab you in the back. So it's and some people when they hug you, you just don't want to let them go. You just want to keep on holding them because you become one. The union between two people, because the love is in the heart. It's so sacred. So many people believe and many people think that they know how to love from the heart, but it's really kind of rare, especially recently. People love not from the heart but from their brain, you know, and and it is very rarely that people actually know how to and actually practice love from the heart. Love from the heart is unconditional because the whole creation is God's creation. You just love everything as it is, because it's all one God. But when people think from their brain, they start to analyze love. They think I love you. You know, I should love you because you are beautiful, you are rich, you are powerful, you have a nice car, you have a nice job. I like you for this, and that, and it's many different, because you polite, you speak nice to me. They love you for something, and that's love from the brain. It's not love from the heart. So you always look for some kind of material pleasure from that kind of love, and that's materialistic love. Okay, and I also noticed there was a couple. Well, they're friends, two women. They came to this funeral, and I was looking at them. One is just giving love, and she doesn't care. She gives love to everybody, hugs talks to everybody. She's love, love, love. But her friend who came with her, you can feel that she is energetic. She just takes love and not giving anything in return. But she's very rich. Right? She's very rich in this town. But it's interesting that some people are donors, they give love, and some people are vampires, they take love. And that's interesting that people kind of gravitate to each other sometimes in those kind of relationships and friendships, that somebody just gives and somebody just takes. It would be amazing when we restore heaven and earth that everybody loves and it's pure unconditional love. But that's way up in the future. We're not there yet. So some people ask me, like, how do you notice these kind of things? How do you see who's a donor, who is a vampire? How do you notice where the heart is open? It is a tricky question. In certain scriptures, they actually describe the stages, and depends on the scripture you read. It could be 7 stages, it could be more, but all of us, we are on those stages of opening heart, because everybody has a heart. It's just not fully operational, and the spiritual practice is for you to open it completely so it's fully operational. But there are certain indicators you will notice as it opens up, as you go up higher and higher stages. You will feel intuition. Intuition comes from the heart, and you will feel the person who speaks to you as they go higher within the heart. They will speak warm words, hot words, let's say. Sometimes you will feel good around them just because they speak something. And it doesn't matter what they speak, it could be any conversation, but you just feel warm in their conversation, in their speech. So that would be a good indicator. Listen to their words, and as you listen to their words, if they speak from their heart, you will notice it. It's warm. There's no colky, there's no needle words, there's no sharp sarcasm, and they can joke around also, but it's not going to be to hurt you or somebody else. It will be very gentle speech, very calm, very pleasant and warm. So, and also the good indicator, if you ask yourself, do you want to come and hug that person, give that person a hug? If you immediately say, yeah, I would hug that person, I have no problem, then you know their heart is open because they're welcome for that energy. But if you feel like, oh, I don't know if I can come and just hug that person, think they're gonna push me away. Like if I come and ask them, excuse me, can I hug you? They're probably gonna say no, 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 not. And we're gonna talk about the not. It's interesting word, N-O-T and K-N-O-T, because many people have a knot in their heart. Okay, so next point is our arms and hands are actually growing from the heart. If you notice, they are in the same line, in line with the heart. So as you hug somebody, it's a heart gesture, comes from the heart. And I'm not sure if in your schools it's practiced, but here in Belarus, when I was growing up, the first, second, and maybe even the third grade, we were holding hands and walking in couples to the food and other places. When we walked together in school, we would hold our hands. Children love to hold their hands. They love to hold their parents' hands, right? And when you look at people who are truly in love, they love each other so much. It just happened. Like few months, they are in love. They hold their hands. They don't want to separate because they feel that unity, their heart and heart so connected that they feel they don't want to separate at all. They hold their hands. It's a good thing. Also, I noticed there are certain people who play this role. They've heard from people it's good to hold hands, so they do it, but they actually don't feel it. So that's show off. A lot of times people do that, show off. Here I want to also point two negative things, and you can probably comment something else in regards to it. You probably notice that governments of many different countries, they are not interested for you and your heart to be strong. They are interested for you and your heart to be weak. And here's one point that I would like to add here, because something that I remember myself in my past. During the USSR times, my parents sometimes were asked to patrol the city where we live. And they would take me as a young child, and we would all wear this red bandana on the arm. I don't know how you call it. It's just red color. So everybody knows that these people are patrolling tonight. And it would be usually evening after work or some. So I don't remember exactly what we were supposed to do, but you kind of look if people are behaving, if they're not throwing the cigarette butts on the asphalt. They're supposed to put it in a garbage can. Nobody's drinking beer in public places, and also nobody's holding hands. I'm not sure if it was a law, administrative punishment and fine, but it was prohibited in Soviet Union to hold hands. Young woman and young man, and they in love, but in public place you're supposed to just hush, don't show it off. Just keep on walking next to each other, but you cannot hold hands. So that was interesting. Like I remember that they were separating this kind of energy. They were not allowing people to feel unity. Okay, and now it's similar but different attack from all governments in the world with these masks, right? I call them. It's not a nice word, but I call them muzzles, muzzles, because what they do, they're silencing people, they make them feel weird, and also they restrict the oxygen inflow. And it's been scientifically proven that when you wear a mask, you breathe less oxygen and you actually breathe your toxins, which is your lungs are expelling them, and they can get stuck, and people have skin issues on the face and all sorts of issues. But it's attack on your heart, because your heart needs as much air, as much inspiration as it can possibly get, right? So there is attack. And also, you look at the word inspiration in English. Inspire. As you breathe in, you inspire your brain. Like, I was inspired to write this script for this video probably because I was meditating and breathing during the meditation. And inspiration has an ending part, ration. Ration is like a food ration, right? They give you a certain amount of food, ration. So you give some ration for your heart every time you breathe. So that's interesting, etymology of the words. Inspiration. Same thing in Russian, вдохновение. Вдох, it means inhale. Next point. So we talked about the two negative points. So yeah, it is for you very important for your heart to be strong and healthy, to breathe quality air. And also look into my video, Silent War on Oxygen, or something like that. I'm not sure, but look it up. It's a war on oxygen going on. And it's, the cars, it's also a technology that it's destroying our oxygen. And these new lightings, LED bulbs, they also burn oxygen. Look it up. So I suggest for you to go back into your old-fashioned bulbs. They also burn oxygen, but not as much. Just like a candle. If you put a candle in your room, it's not going to kill you immediately. It's just going to take some oxygen away from you. But if you put thousands of candles in one room and you sit in that room with windows closed, you will be suffering from lack of oxygen. Who knows what's going to happen. My next point is a question. Why a lot of times you see Jesus on the icons, on the spiritual drawings, pointing to his heart or showing his heart? Look it up. It's a lot of pictures of Jesus showing his heart or being a heart. So he's saying, I am the heart within you. The kingdom of heaven is within you, and it's within your heart. So I have this little tiny icon, which is interesting. Take a look. Jesus is holding a book, which is a Bible or any kind of scripture, the knowledge. And he also holds the mudra, the connection of the thumb and the ring finger. So the ring finger is the element of air. So as you connect your thumb and ring finger, you actually stimulating anahata center, the heart center. So that's mudra, which is good for you to meditate with and to stimulate your anahata center. In actually, the ring finger in Russian language is called no name finger, which is also very interesting. No name. Like, why do they call it no name? Because inside the heart, there is a small, tiny spark of God within you. It's a primordial, unborn, undying sparkle. Your spirit, your soul, which is within you, it's already inside. And they call it in Russian no name finger, because when you speak about God, words lose their power. So it doesn't matter if you say any kind of name in different languages, people always misunderstand God because it has no material substance. It's immaterial. It's beyond matter and no matter. So that's one of the very unique points in etymology in Russian language, that this finger is named no name finger. All right, next point. Yeah, and there are certain quotes, which is I don't remember directly, but Jesus was saying that the kingdom of heaven is within you. It's within you. And he was also saying there is no other way but through me. So it's within you and through him. And he's showing the heart, always like, I am the heart, I am within the heart. Only through me, only through this spark within your heart. And here in my small town in Belarus, in Catholic Church, if you go in the center, not the left or the right wing, but in the center, which is the highest, in the center, the very, very top, the highest possible place, they placed the heart. So the church was recently remodeled, and they they have the heart in there. So you can go and check it out. Many other churches probably do the same thing. Heart is the highest place in the center. So now there's some other points we're going to talk about. So the heart is the first organ that it forms inside the uterus in the mother. When we all started in the physical form inside the uterus, the first months or few weeks, I think, there's a heart that is building, very first organ. And then from the heart, the second organ comes the tongue. So the tongue, is the second. In the beginning, there was a word, and the word was with God. And it's very interesting also that it's happening this way, that it starts from the heart. And by the way, I have a smiling face and cloning. So let's joke and speculate, because I'm not sure, but you've heard that they are cloning people. I'm sure it's probably a lot of them are cloned now, and they probably do synthetic transformation of your consciousness into those clones, but it's not as good probably as natural way. So my question to you, if they do clone us, are they also doing the same method? From the heart comes out the whole body, or there is totally different building? Also, possibly we are speculating many different cloning facilities using different methods, right? We don't know. The next point is, before the heart is being built, let's go back and rewind. So you have one cell from your mother and one cell from your father. Two cells combine, and then they build four. Then they build eight. So they replicate in in the formation of double two. So 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, and so on. But I've heard, and I'm not sure if it's correct or not, who knows if it's true, but it seems like it's truth to me, just like heart intuition, that the first 8 cells are immortal, and they are within your heart always. They never divide, they never disappear. You are born with them, and they are perfect version with perfect DNA and everything else, the blueprint of who you ought to be. But then as they start replicating more and more and more and more, they start become sloppy, and they don't build DNA as properly. We have many traumas in childhood, some negative words been spoken to you, you've been hit, you've been damaged, negative emotions, negative thoughts, trauma. Look around. I mean, there is so much trauma. People smoke cigarettes, that's trauma. They modify their body themselves with tattoos, drugs, alcohol, and all go on and on and on. So we are going away from that perfect DNA, but there's a blueprint. It's already inside our heart. So when we meditate on our heart, it can activate and start sending proper messages through your whole body, because everything in your body changes within a certain period of time. For example, skin, I think it's just one layer of the skin builds in 4 days. So every 4 days, one layer of the skin sheds, just like the snake sheds the skin. And we have many layers of the skin. So there are layers upon layers upon layers, and one layer of the skin every 4 days. That's quick. And also liver and pancreas, they change. I'm not sure, 3 months, 9 months, but and there is also your bones change within a very long period of time. Everything is changing except those 8 cells within your heart. All right. But again, that's what I've heard. You have to check me on that one. So now we're going to talk about some interesting stuff. So in Sanskrit, in India, they call this chakra, this energy center, heart center, anahata, which is interesting. Official translation of anahata is, it's a sound that is made without two things striking. Again, it is a sound that is made without two things striking each other. So, for example, I have these two chimes, and if they don't strike, they are silent, right? But if I struck them together, you get this sound, right? So imagine inside your heart, it is a sound that is made without anything striking. It's just there. It's a primordial, unborn, undying sound. And what's interesting also, like me looking at the word anahata, etymologically, I see 3 parts: ana, hat, and letter A. Ana in Sanskrit means food, what we eat. Hat, it's something that you cover yourself with. And letter A is the first letter of almost every alphabet on earth. And it's also a representation of physical body of human. If you stand up, your arms are down and your legs are slightly separated, you look like a letter A. So it's a food covered God within you. So your heart is a cover for that spark, eternal spark of God within your heart. So we are, because our physical body is food. Everything that you eat, becomes your ears, your whole body. Everything that you eat from Mother Earth, right? So that's interesting correlation with etymology. And there's a sound, they call it Om in Christianity, Amen, Amin. It's a sound primordial within your heart, constantly within you. It's already within us. It's in our heart, and everybody has it. But some people are just so covered, so tight with coverings of desires. Let's say, because desires are covering the true essence of who we are. So look up my video about desires. It's a very good one also. So most people do not hear that sound within the heart. They use their brain and they analyze love. They think, should I love? Should I stay or should I go? So they keep on thinking that brain is loving, analyzing love. Should I love my enemies? Like, was Jesus correct? Maybe he was wrong. Maybe I should go to Ukraine and start, doing whatever. Maybe Jesus was wrong. Who knows? No, he was not wrong. Love your enemies, because everything is your one creation. Everything is one God, and it's hard for people who are logical and analytical to come to God, because it's not that easy. It's, if the heart is not open, it's very difficult. You have to study scriptures every day, and your heart starts to open up, and So now we're going to talk about opening up the heart. So what's interesting, the English word knot, K-N-O-T. So you have a knot within the heart. That's many scriptures saying. And knot sounds like not, like, is your heart is open? Not. It's not open. So knot. And also in India, they call the heart as unbloomed yet, not bloomed yet, lotus flower. So that lotus flower in the form of bud. So the bud is like a tight form. It's not open yet. So in that But we all have the heart, but some people have it slightly open, more open. You would feel like some people have really wide open, right? Um, so they say this flower of lotus is in upside down form. So in your heart, it's in upside down form, and it's connected by the stalk to the brain. So the brain has left and right hemispheres. It powers electrically your magnetic heart. Okay, so your brain, which is electric, two hemispheres, left and right, powers magnetic heart. So here we're going to talk about the ton, the connecting element. Very important. I know a lot of you like, oh, we've heard about Kichari Mudra, but you have to keep on repeating it, how important it is, because if you don't do it, the heart doesn't get electricity from the brain, and without the heart you are nobody, you know. That's why they, in the medical industry, when the heart stops, they use electricity to shock it, give it the jolt of energy to, so it heart starts beating. Your heart needs electricity, and we need to give the heart electricity to open up that lotus flower, to untie that knot of many desires that we've been accumulating for many lifetimes, you know. So that's your highest spiritual practice. So the spiritual practice comes to two petals. First petal, you are learning spiritual scriptures, and whatever speaks to you the most, get them all if you have possibility, read them all, underline. Like I have a lot of notes from, you know, many different years of studying this, and I keep on looking at them again and again, reading them again, and contemplating about the scriptures. That's very important. So you study the scriptures, whatever speaks to you the most, Bible, Quran, Talmud, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and also pay attention that and be mindful that a lot of them have been rewritten. So there are certain elements of not truth in them, and as your heart opens up, you'll have intuitive understanding what is what. So it's not easy. It's completely a mess right now. There's a fight for whose religion is better, who wants to be dominant religion in the future, and that's not true religion. So yeah, first step is studying scriptures, and the second one is slowly, gently say no to your material desires. So, you know, becoming disattached, non-attachment. So those two pedals you keep on pedaling, and your success also depends on two things: how many desires you have, and the second, how much effort you are willing to take, to make, to get to enlightenment. Okay, next point. We are all on a certain step, on a certain stage of development towards enlightenment, and not all of us gonna be probably successful in this lifetime to get 100% enlightenment, because it's not easy. You cannot become Jesus overnight. It's a very long journey, and they say it's like running down the blade. It's so sharp that step left and step right sometimes it gets you in trouble. And here's my next point, which is a little bit disappointed for myself and maybe for you. Um, I'm not sure if it's true, but I've read in one of these Upanishads, one of the ancient scriptures, that it takes more than 100 lifetimes of practice of Kichari Mudra to get it to that highest state. Okay, hundreds of lifetimes. So I was like, oh my God. But you know, you don't know. Maybe you already practiced for like 99 lifetimes, and this is just the last life for you to do it. So let's show it. Take a look at my tongue. I'm gonna show you part of it because you cannot see complete thing, but the tongue goes behind the uvula and goes and reaches the pineal gland. So I'm sure the lighting is not the best, but take a look. Okay, so yeah, it looks easy for me now, but in the beginning I had to use my finger to push it behind. And also there are some teachers say you should cut this flesh which is holds your tongue down right underneath your tongue. There is a tiny little flesh that keeps it down. So there were methods to cut it, but I suggest don't do it. Do it naturally, stretch it, it will go back there. No, it just takes time. All right, so according to this scripture, if it's true that it takes over 100 lifetimes of this practice to get to perfection, maybe, again, I'm speculating here, maybe there's certain safety mechanism built into this practice by our creator, the one God, that not everybody is going to be able to succeed in this practice because maybe their heart is not pure. If you have some impurity in your heart, it's just a mechanism that you can't do it physically. You can't do it. So it's a possibility. There's safety mechanism. Who knows? God only knows, right? God only knows. So here's my next point. It's like a speculation also from my side, intuitive speculation. Those who operate, those who control Barack Obama and other presidents and other important rich people, I have a feeling they know about this Kichari Mudra. They also practice it as much as they can. They also have scriptures, probably very true, very concise, which is held away from majority of population. And they practice this knowledge, they learn, they study, they practice Kichari. But as Jesus said, it is easier for camel to walk through the ear of the needle than for a rich person to get into heaven, right? So it is an interesting connection because it's also probably a safety mechanism. If the rich person is trying to get even more rich and more power, they're not going to be able to, because it's just God is saying enough is enough. For you, it's enough. Now you have enough. Give some room to other people. They are just like you. They are part of this beautiful one creation of one God. And for them, it's very difficult also to reach the enlightenment because they have too many desires. They have too many materialistic desires, and they have too much to lose. Basically, if you have too much to lose, it's very hard to be disattached from material pleasures. So again, you don't have to run into any kind of cave and be alone to reach the enlightenment. You can have all your money, you can have all your homes and cars and jobs, but feel like it's just material, temporary pleasure. Just like everything else around here. You look, it's beginning and end. You start the ice cream, it has a beginning and it has an end. You give birth to a child, it has a birth and it dies. It begins everything material, but within your child, inside the heart, there's a spark of God which is eternal. That's spiritual practice. That's that you should concentrate on. And we're going to talk about it, how we do it during the meditation. You concentrate on that spark within the heart. All right, next one is a little funny. Somebody here in my town told me, you know what, you should record a TikTok video. I was like, oh, those are ones like for a few minutes long. Talk about God for a few minutes. I was like, okay, it's cute, it's interesting, but don't you think those thick books like the Bible? It's not a little tiny book; it's huge. It's made that way for you to keep on reading almost the same material over and over, repeated. That's why they say Varam, varam. Repeat again and again and again and again. Every morning, until one day you become enlightened, and then you don't need any scriptures anymore. But before that, you have to keep on reading again and again. So my videos are long because talking about God is like it's the hardest thing to do. It's not easy. It's almost like, the hardest science, like chemistry and physics. Language loses its power. You start using symbols to explain the topic. Same thing when you talk about God. There's a lot of terminology that a lot of people don't know. Like, what is this? Vasana? Prana? What is that? I don't know that. Yeah, because once you use those words, you have to explain them. What do they actually mean? And once it sinks in, and it takes time for it to sink in, because your capacity to think and hold knowledge, it's called udana. Udana has a limit, and it also loses flexibility with time. So when you get older, your flexibility of holding knowledge becomes less and less. So that's why a lot of people make mistake that they say, "Oh, I don't have time for religion now. I don't have time for God. When I retire, I'll do it." It's getting late. When you retire, you are 60, 70, and the flexibility of your brain and your capacity to hold knowledge, it's not as good. So the younger the better. You can start with your children at age of 9, 10, and slowly, gradually educate them. So yeah, TikTok, probably not. I might record the video on TikTok directing them to my YouTube channel or Odyssey and BitChute, but attention span, I think that's what the problem, that young generation have a very short attention span. They cannot learn something. It doesn't matter anything. Look at the young generation. They don't have attention span for anything. And those new diseases, ADD, HDHD, whatever they name them, it's also so. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the true meditation and true prayer at the end. But right now we're gonna read some. I have prepared in English, not many, because there are supposedly around 200 Upanishads, and only 100 something considers to be authentic. So out of all of them, I have just like 9 or 10, and out of all of them, I'm gonna just read you a few paragraphs here and there, which is connected to the heart and breathing. So Upanishad, if you look up the etymology, it comes from 3 parts. Upanishad, which means sit, near, listen. So those old teachers in those previous times, they used to sit a little higher, and the students were a little bit below, and they were closely paying attention and listening to the words about God. So we're gonna read some of them, and remember that language is losing its power. So don't be angry with me or yourself that you do not understand and comprehend everything. So be patient, and also I suggest for you to pause, write things down. As you write things down, you remember better. Then read them again in the next few years. Keep on adding more and more knowledge, and eventually it will make clear picture. Once you are enlightened, you understand all religions. You understand? Once you are completely enlightened, you understand all religions. So let's see. I have page numbers, and then I also underscored certain things. So page number is the first one. All right, so here's one. Within the recess of the heart is that akasha of consciousness, that with many openings, the aim of knowledge within the space of the heart, in which all this universe evolves and moves about, in which all this warped and woofed. Who knows this knows fully all creation. Being fully awakened, one becomes the knower of all truth. So we already said that once you are in the heart, you know it all. But again, it's not easy to be completely in the heart. Next one. In the heart, the pranas are installed. In the heart exists the supreme prana and light, as also the immanent cause with threefold constituents and the Mahat principle. So within the heart is that spark of God. They also call it flame. They describe it as painted flame. They also say there's no source for this flame. It's like if you have a piece of wood, that's a source for the fire. But this fire has no source. It's just flame as itself without any smoke. So it's an immanent cause within us. It's that primordial, unborn, which comes from all previous generations, from your father, mothers, grandparents, and so on. It keeps on going into the infinite future. All right. Next one. It exists within this heart, that is, in the consciousness. Put on the sacrificial thread, which is supremely sacred, which embodies longevity, eminence, and purity, and may it be strength and puissance to you. Very interesting word, puissance. Puissance. All right, so write things down and put on the sacrificial thread. So as you read in many scriptures, the sacrifice, the highest sacrifice, because you can sacrifice this water. For example, you drink it, it goes into your stomach. It's sacrifice. You also can, sacrifice food. You eat food, goes into your stomach. That's a sacrifice. But that's always secondary, third, fourth. It's further sacrifice. The primordial sacrifice is breath. Inspiration, expiration. You are inspired, you are expired. So yeah, breathing is a primordial sacrifice. And notice it was talking about threefold constituents. Why threefold? Because you have three states of consciousness. 1, 2, 3. Right now you are awake. That's your first state of consciousness, or whatever you count them from which direction. So awaken. Then as you sleep, you have two more. Sleep with deep sleep, no dreams, dreamless sleep, and also the sleep with dreams. So that's a third one. So you have all three of them connected with your breath into the heart, because your heart keeps on beating, as they say, or pumping blood or taking oxygen in as you breathe. Even as you sleep, you breathe. You might not be fully aware or in control, but you are constantly breathing. So that's a connecting point. It keeps on staying with you all the time through all three states of consciousness. The next one is, listen up, having made oneself the Arani and the Pranava, the upper Arani, and rubbing them both together through the practice of meditation, see the Lord in his hidden reality. So again, this is going to be about meditation later on. Arani, not popular terminology, but basically if you have two pieces of wood rubbing together, it will create friction and fire. So as somebody shows you this log of wood, you can make a Pinocchio out of it. But if you look at the log of wood and they say, do you see fire? You're like, no, I don't see fire. So if you create friction, wood and wood, you see the fire. So again, it's interesting that wood has fuel and fire within itself. As your body, your physical body, you have a material cover, anna, material food cover, and also have a fire within your heart, which is spiritual essence of who you are. And you cannot see the fire. If somebody cuts your heart open and looks, they're not gonna see the fire. They say it's so tiny, it's so small. So yeah, you can that's spiritual practice. Keep on rubbing the knowledge, say no to desires. You know, those two pedals, keep on pedaling, and eventually you're like, oh, I know. So next one, the heart, the inner chamber of the heart, resembles the calyx of a lotus, full of cavities, and also with its face turned downwards. Know that to be the great habitat of the whole universe. So look at this one. So basically, the whole universe is within your heart. It's hard to comprehend, but that's the scriptures, they talk about it. All right, the next page is 22. Let's see. Okay, there are two of them here. The yogin is who practices yoga. Yoga is huge, union with God, right? So yogin who considers as the highest that which is above nada, which is anahata, has all his doubts destroyed. So nada is a sound. Anahata, we already talked about, is heart. So there's a sound within your heart. And next one describes this tiny little spark within the heart. If the pointed of a hair be divided into 100,000 parts, this nada is one half of that still further divided. And when even this is absorbed, the yogins attains to that stainless God. So basically it's tiny part within your heart, and you have to attain it within yourself. And that's not very easy. The next one. And here they actually talk about three aspects of God. Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, who supports the creation, and Shiva, who destroys the creation. And that's in regards to your breath. Right, you inhale, hold the breath for a little bit, and then exhale, hold the breath. You keep on going that's sacrificial breathing. So listen up. Brahma is said to be inspiration. Vishnu is said to be cessation of breath. And Shiva is said to be expiration. These three are devatas of pranayama. So basically pranayama is practice of breathing. As you breathe, you have those three parts within the breath. And here again they talk about the sacrificial wood, arani. Listen up. Having made Atman as the lower arani, sacrificial wood, and pranava as the upper arani, one should see the God in secret through the practice of churning, which is dhyana. And that's in regards to meditation. That's very high practice. The next one. The lotus of the heart has 8 petals and 32 filaments. And the next one. Then with the restraint of breath, he should meditate in the heart upon God. So again, meditation we're going to speak about later on, but here's also connects the heart to meditation. Next one. Being in that which is like the lotus facing down with its flower or face below and the stalk above, or like the flower of a plantain tree being of the form of all scriptures, containing 100 petals and 100 leaves, and having the persicarp full expanded. The next one is also beautiful, connecting your breath as sipping of water through lotus. So take a look. Just as a man would draw up with his mouth the water through the pores of this lotus stalk, so the yogin treading the path of yoga should draw up the breath. So basically, I would suggest the Ujjayi breath. It was one of the most powerful, where you restrict the muscles within your nose and it's become hissing sound, louder sound. So look up my video about Ujjayi breath. So having made a lotus sheath from Ardra Matra, one should draw up the breath through the stalk of the Nadi Sushumna, Ida and Pingala and absorb in the middle of the eyebrows. So yeah, when you start breathing during meditation, it absorbs in your pineal gland in the middle of the eyebrows. He should know that the middle of the eyebrows is the forehead, which is also the root of the nose. It is the seat of nectar. That is a great place of God. So yeah, the seed of nectar. So when you do Kichari Mudra, swallow your tongue and connect to the pineal, the nectar starts floating down, and eventually you do not require any food or water. You just live on air. Next one. Jiva is ever tossed by prana and apana, is never at rest. So jiva is you, basically. Jiva is the personality. You, me, everybody else, jiva. So we are tossed around by prana and apana. Prana is intake of energy, apana exhale. Prana is inhale, apana is exhale, right? But it's much deeper because prana is also the food that you eat, the air, water, sunlight, everything that you see by your eyes, hear by your, that's intake. You intake into you. And then prana, you letting out. Letting out as you go to the bathroom, as you exhale and stuff like that. So you're never at rest. You tossed around by inhale and exhale until, and here's another one. Prana always draws itself from apana, and apana draws itself from prana. But both of those are built on God. So basically, God is the base for everything. People say, oh, you live by prana. No, prana is also based on a very primordial source, God. So everything is we see, it's material. But God is beyond matter. God is beyond matter. All right, the next one is, let's see, 25, 30, page 30. Okay, so whoso thus knows the eternal dweller in the cave of the heart, the ancient Lord who has become the all, the golden, the supreme goal of the wise, is wise. He stays transcending all forms of wisdom. This is the secret doctrine. All right, so dweller in the cave of the heart. By the way, there was Madame Blavatsky who wrote that book, The Secret Doctrine. I never read it, but I'm sure there's some interesting stuff in there, and also probably some misguidance, because every book has been rewritten, hiding the truth more and more from us. So but those who search, you will find eventually. You'll find the truth. Just like Jesus says, keep on looking, you'll find. Keep on knocking, and you shall be open. So next one, the self that is subtler than the subtle and greater than the great is seated in the heart of every creature. One who is free from desire sees the glory of the self through the tranquility of the mind and senses and becomes absolved from grief. So what's interesting here is saying that in every creature, so everybody who has a heart, squirrel, ant, it's that tiny little spark of God is within them also. Everything is nothing but God. The next one, listen up. The self cannot be attained by the study of the Vedas, not by intelligence, nor by much hearing. Only by him who seeks to know the self can it be attained. To him, the self reveals its own nature. And that's a very unique and deep one, also, statement that you can read all you want the Bible night and day, but the self, the God within you, will reveal only to the ones who are really worthy ones, who has purified themselves and who deserve it. And here there's some bickering going on because a lot of people say, oh, the river flows into the ocean. And other people say, no, no, no. The ocean sucks in the river. So who is right, who is wrong? If you keep on doing this practice, spiritual practice, eventually you'll come into realization and enlightenment. So at the end, it really doesn't matter. If God is choosing you or you choosing God, both will come and unite. And I think Jesus was saying that you in your lifetime will see kingdom of heaven. And that's interesting because a lot of Christians are against reincarnation, but look around. A lot of people die not enlightened, but Jesus was not lying. He was saying that you personally will get to the kingdom of heaven within your lifetime. All it means that eventually all of us will get there. It's nothing special about yogis and practice of yoga because you just get there faster. That's it. You get there faster. But everybody will get there. Here's another one. This self hidden in the heart in all beings does not shine, but the seers of a subtle and pointed intellect capable of perceiving subtle objects, it is seen. So basically, that light, that spark of God, it doesn't produce physical light, it doesn't shine. And yet, those who have intellect, which is subtle, those will see. Those who see, they see. All right, so next one is he raises the prana upward and casts the apana downward. All the gods worship him who is adorable and seated in the middle. Not by prana, not by apana does a mortal live, but all live by something else on which these two depend. So here's a good one, right? So many people are concerned with good prana and make sure they have apana, but God, both of them, prana and apana, rests on that God. All right, so we have a few more left. 46. Oh, here's a lot of them. Okay, so we get to the end, so it's a lot of them here. So just as the wind, though one, having entered the world, assumes a separate form in respect of each form, so does this self of all beings, though one, assumes a form in respect of every form and is outside it. So it's kind of mind-boggling. It's inside and outside at the same time, right? Just as the sun, which is the eye of the entire world, is not tainted by the external impurities seen by the eyes, so also the indwelling self of all beings, though one, is not tainted by the sorrows of the world, it being external. Next one. Eternal happiness belongs to the intelligent, not to others, who realize in their hearts Him who is one, the controller of the indwelling self of all beings, and who makes the one form manifold. Also a good one, right? So you can pause and write things down. Here's the next one. Whoso among the intelligent realize the self in the inner space of the heart as the eternal among the ephemeral, the consciousness among the conscious, who, though one, dispenses the desires objects to many, to them belong eternal peace, not to others. Here's another one. There the sun shines not, nor do the moon and the stars, nor do these lightnings. How then can this fire shine? Question mark. Everything shines after him that shines. By his light shines all this. That's another good one. All right. And few more. When all longings that are in the heart vanish, then the mortal becomes immortal and attains God. So basically, when your desires vanish, you will attain Godhood within your heart. Next one. When all the knots of the heart are cut asunder here, then a mortal becomes immortal. Only this much is the instruction. There are 101 nerves of the heart. Of them, one goes out piercing the head. Going up through that, one attains immortality. The others serve for departing in different ways. So this is an interesting one. So they say there are 101 veins coming from the heart, of which only one leads to upper space. So here I'm speculating myself. I think they talk about Kichari Mudra, and the veins are under your tongue. So take a look at the bottom of your tongue. You have very thick two veins. And when you swallow your tongue, they actually line up inside your nose. There are two balls. I don't know how they call, but it's almost like a Christmas tree. Your nose looks like a Christmas tree, and you're supposed to light up the tree with a star on the top. But those two balls, they line up and connect electricity from those veins underneath the tongue. So that leads 1 out of 100. Every other 100 veins, they lead to probably many different desires that you wish to attain within this God's creation. Because Earth is not the only one. I mean, you can go to probably many different dimensions and creations, but they all lead to death eventually. And death wipes your memory out as you come into different dimensions. So this is the only one that leads to immortality, they say, in this particular Upanishad. Here's another one. Purusha of the size of the thumb, the inner self, is ever seated in the heart of all living beings. One should with steadiness separate him from one's own body. One should know him as pure and immortal. One should know him as pure and immortal. Okay, so that's the end. That was a Kathopanishad. So the name of this one is Kathopanishad. And then I have a few more about the meditation. And again, meditation is the highest form of spiritual practice. Before you can get there, you need to eliminate the majority of your desires. So you cannot practice meditation until you do so. And you will know as you get closer and closer, you'll have more peace of mind. You'll be more calm and happy. But a lot of people are like in the kindergarten state, and they want to write the dissertation for the PhD That's a PhD. Meditation is the highest of the high. So here's the definition of meditation. Also, please write this thing down. Write the meditation, what it is actually is. So definition of meditation. Meditation is concentration on one thought with the exclusion of all other thoughts. Once again, meditation is concentration on one thought with an exclusion to all other thoughts. And it starts after a minute and a half. So those 90 seconds and more, that's when it starts concentration. But many people, even 10 seconds, you cannot concentrate on one thought. Your monkey mind, you keep on thinking, oh, did I turn off the oven? Did I do this? I should go there. You keep on thinking many desires and many thoughts. So not easy to concentrate. So meditation, we're going to talk about it. But please don't be frustrated that yet. It's the highest of the high. So all that craze that is going on the internet, full moon meditation, best meditation practice, transcendental meditation, it's all BS, And those people are blind leading the blind. They cannot practice meditation themselves, but they sell it for money as they know it all, and it's a scam going around big time. So I have some notes later on, but let's read the scriptures, what it's saying about meditation. First one, his form does not stand within the scope of vision. None beholds him with the eye. By the intellect, restraining the mind, and through meditation is he revealed. He is God, right? Those who knows this become immortal. When the five senses of knowledge are at rest together with the mind, and the intellect is not active, that state they call the highest. So that's meditation state. That steady restraint over the senses they regard as yoga. Then one becomes vigilant. For yoga can indeed originate in one and can be lost as well. So again, yoga is something very flickery or flimsy, or what is the word? Very hard to grasp. You can get it and then you can lose it also. So that concentration is not steady, probably in the beginning of your development, and eventually you'll be steady. You comprehend God all the time. You think about God, nothing else. Feel and see and hear. It's everything is God for you. But to get to that state, it takes time. Probably a very long time. So next one is, let's see. Higher than heaven, seated in a cave that shines, which is a self-controlled attain. The self-controlled who, being of pure minds, have well ascertained the reality by the knowledge of Vedanta and through sannyasa or renunciation. In the sphere of Brahma, at the time of cosmic dissolution, they all get liberated from the highest immortality and the manifested universe. So here's a deep one. A lot of probably new words for you. Seated in a cave, which shines in the heart. And then Vedanta is knowledge about God. Veda means knowledge, Anta, end, the highest, the end of knowledge. And then sannyasa is basically renunciation of desires. And in the sphere of Brahma, it's the creator aspect of one, Brahman, with the letter N. So even in spiritual places, you have to learn about God. They say it's hardest to learn about God in our human world, where you have physical body, because physical body is constantly in pain, its legs are breaking, something else breaking. You're constantly in pain. So when you go to other places where you are bodiless, it's much easier to learn God, but it's still difficult. It's still not easy. The next one. In a secluded place, sitting in an easy posture, with the neck, head, and body erect, living in the last of the orders of the religious life, having controlled all the senses, saluting his own preceptor with reverence, meditating with the lotus of the heart, untainted, pure, clear, and griefless. So, a very interesting one. You can write it down as well. Secluded place. So basically alone. When you meditate, you're supposed to be alone. And there's many scriptures say what kind of place should be, like quiet, pure, pleasant, sitting in an easy posture with body erect, and controlling the senses, because we have five senses: smell, sight, hearing, taste. So you have to control all five of them, and respect your teacher, your guru, who gave you that knowledge about the God, and you're meditating about the lotus of the heart. So you are concentrating nothing but heart place. It's kind of interesting because you look up with your physical eyes into your forehead, but concentrating at the same time on the heart center. Next one. Making the Atman the lower Arani and Om the upper Arani, the repeated friction of knowledge and wise man burns up the bond. So here they say Atman, which is your personal soul, spark of God within your heart, and Om sound. You can only make that sound when you swallow the tongue and practice Kichari Mudra. You can only do you cannot say anything. So as you vibrate it vibrates inside your brain and inside your heart as well. You can take a look. You can practice it vibrates in both places because your neck reverberates in upper and lower regions of your body. And then by doing that, you're starting that fire of meditation. And within that fire of meditation, you burn the rest of your desires. Because you have many desires from previous lives that you might not even know until you come next to the casino and you have desire to gamble or something else. So your desires sometimes just come up from nowhere and you're like, where did this come from? Like, I thought I was done with this. And you come by this bar and you see some drinking alcohol, you all of a sudden want to drink alcohol next to them. So it's so hard to burn the desires from this lifetime. Imagine all previous lifetimes. So during the meditation, you burn all of them, completely become clear cut, clean forever. All right, the next one is here is about actually Kichari Mudra. When the tongue enters backwards in the hole of the skull, then there is a mudra of the vision latent in the eyebrows called Kichari. He who knows the mudra Kichari has not disease, death, sleep, hunger, thirst, or swoon. He who practices this mudra is not affected by illness or karma, nor is he bound by the limitations of time. Since chitta moves in the akasha, and since the tongue has entered into the mudra ka, which is the hole of the mouth, therefore the mudra is called Kichari and worshipped by the siddhas. He whose hole or passage above the uvula is closed with the tongue backwards, by means of Kichari Mudra, never loses his virility, even when embraced by a lovely woman. Whereas the fear of death, so long as the bindu virility stays in the body. So I'm not going to comment on any of those. Very deep. Write them down. If you want to know which one is this one, is Dhyana Bindu Upanishad. Dhyana Bindu Upanishad. So next one is 1, 2, 3. Well, we already said about this one, meditation practice of having made Atman as a lower Arani, sacrificial wood, and Pranava as the upper Arani. One should see God is secret through the practice of churning with it, which is dhyana. With the restraint of breath, he should meditate in the heart upon God. We also said that. And next one is okay. Again, repeating. Having made oneself the Arani and the Pranava the upper Arani, and rubbing them together through the practice of meditation, see the Lord in his hidden reality. And then next one, from which, without reaching it, the speech falls back with the mind. That is a transcendental bliss of this embodied being, knowing which the wise one is released from all bondage. So basically, once you practice final meditation and you burn all the desires, your speech falls back, mind, you losing your mind, you are becoming one with God. And that's when that sound, which is in the beginning you meditate, you hear that sound. It's very high pitched sound. It's like om, but very high pitched sound. As your practice of meditation gets better and better, and at the end, the final meditation, that sound disappears. It's silence. So in that silence, you find God. So it, again, for most of us, it's way up front. I'm not there yet, but I'm working hard myself and helping you guys to get there. It's highest of the high, to get to that. And again, speech falls back. When you talk about God, it's speechless. It's indescribable. It's eternal. It's no words can describe it. So it's mind-boggling. It's basically mind-boggling. And I think that's it. I'll hear a few more. Yet one, like a pointed flame, subtle, like lotus fiber, shines the sun-like cerebral artery. Passing through it, penetrates the Om. Through the sun and 72,000 arteries, breaks through the head and remains as bringer of blessing to all, pervading the whole universe. And just as the sound of the metal utensil or of a going dies in silence, so he who seeks the all lets the Om sound fade away in silence. For that wherein the sound fades away is God, the higher. Yes, the whole sound is God and conduces to immortality. All right, so I have all my notes from the Upanishads, and then also have a few more points to add to this. For those of you who are incapable of sitting down during meditation, I'm speculating, but it's possibility to lay down, to laying on your back. And here's a little icon that I have. Look at this lady having hands on the heart, right? So as you lay down, put your hands on the heart and be careful because they will get hot, because inside the heart and inside your stomach, inside your brain, there's same flame, same God, which is hot. And when you keep the hands on the heart and meditate while laying down, it's a I'm speculating, it's probably a possibility to become enlightened as well. So this is for some of you who are like 80, 90 years old and you're just starting to practice spiritual practices. You can give it a try, because sitting up, it's sometimes hard. So also on your chair, on the very top, you can put the blanket so your spine will be erect, because most of the chairs, they lean back. So as you lean back, you kind of relax and you fall asleep, and probably not the best. So, and as you meditate, emotion that you can practice is love. Love your heart and love all creation. Feel the bliss within your heart. The sound that you hear within you will get higher and higher. They call it sushumna sound. It's like a sound of the silver string. And in the final stage of meditation, it disappears into silence. The next point, if you cannot practice Kichari last stage, when you swallow the tongue and it connects to the pineal gland, which is, by the way, as you go up with the tongue higher and higher, within your nose there is a blade. As soon as that blade ends, and it's pretty sharp, you feel like almost like you're going to cut your tongue in half, and your tongue is going to be like a snake tongue. But it's not as sharp. But anyway, as soon as the blade ends, your tongue will come to that part which is pineal gland, and it looks like pine cones. It feels like, I cannot show it to you, of course, it's inside my skull, but it feels like bumpy pine cone. But if you cannot get there, within your mouth there is Kichari number 2 position, which is between the hard palate and soft palate. So take a look, glide your tongue on the palate, and where the hard and soft paddle meet, right there, it's a small tiny dot that you can stimulate with the tip of your tongue as well. That's a good point also. All right, so that's Kichari number 2 for those of you who are not ready for the final. All right, so looking up your eyes, looking into your eyebrow center that we already discussed. You also stimulate the pineal gland as you do it with your vision, with your eyes doing that. But you concentrate on your heart space. So there's an eternal flame within your heart. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, I'm not there yet, and to get to the final state of meditation is not easy. Maybe concentration on the pineal gland is enough. You don't need to be in the heart space, but I have a feeling that heart is also very important. Please comment. Maybe with your comments you can help somebody else. If you're more knowledgeable than myself, write some good comments. And yeah, once you start that immaterial fire within your heart, that burns all your remaining desires. And then you come into silence eventually. And as you meditate, you can do certain hands gestures. So namaste is a good one. When you connect palms together, each fingertips connects and stimulate, each other. And your palm is your mind, is your third eye. So 2 palms together also brings the mind into concentration. Or you can do this palm to palm practice. I've heard that men supposed to keep the right palm above, and females should keep the left palm above. But they both come like that, and you put them in the lap, just sitting down like that. Or you can keep the thumbs and ring fingers connected, as I call it, Jesus Christ mudra. He usually, take a look at this picture again, he is usually advertising, let's say, he's usually advertising that mudra of the heart, anahata, stimulation for the heart. And as you breathe, I would suggest ujjayi breath as the best practice. Hissing sound in and out. This is how it sounds like. So basically, you're restricting the whispering muscles within your nose, within your throat, and that makes it sound louder. It's very purifying, and you can imagine that you are breathing into your third eye, exhaling, inhaling, purifying your heart, your brain, everything gets purified with this breath. And yeah, so let's see if I have anything else to say. I think we got everything from this. Oh, I had some notes in Russian, and I'm not sure how to properly translate it, but this is how it sounds like. By breath alone, you reach the eternal life. I found this in some Upanishad that by breath alone, you've reached the uh, eternal. The other one is when human speaks, he cannot fully breathe. It's very tiring. So your heart needs oxygen. So when you are talking, like myself right now, talking a lot, I do get tired after making these videos because I do not inspire and expire, breathe as good as I normally do, right? So it's very tiring. People think, oh, talk is cheap. No, talk is expensive. And sometimes people get paid very well. Look at the presidents. All they do is talk, and they get paid very good money. So it's tiring. So sitting and meditating, breathing, and not talking, it's one of the most pleasant things to do. And by the way, my mother, before she passed away, she's seen me sitting down and doing nothing with a smile and blissful state, and she did not understand because she was like, what is going on? Like he's not doing nothing. He's happy. It's very hard when you are not there to comprehend meditation because it's the best thing to do. It's the highest pleasure ever. And many spiritual teachers, they were luring people in. Come, do this, reconnect to God, reunite with God, and this is the highest bliss. And people would not listen, and they don't care. They just want some material pleasures, which is always beginning and the end. It always has a beginning and an end. God, when you reach God, it has no beginning and the end. It's eternal bliss. It's eternal pleasure. But how do you explain this? It's wordless. It's unimaginable, and your fantasy disappears. That's one thing that also, like a few years ago, when I was reading scriptures and they were saying that after the final meditation, fantasy disappears. Like you don't fantasize. Like, oh, I wish I had a nice car. Oh, I wish I had this good something. It disappears. Absolutely meaningless. Like nothing, because you were there. You completely enlightened. You are reconnected. By the way, religion, the meaning of the word religion, re means do again, repeat. Religion, ligare, connect. So religion means again unite. So reunite again, right? Same thing as yoga. Yoga means huge, comes from the word huge, unite. And by the way, the word religion implies the reincarnation. Again, do it again, because before you were not able to, so try it again. This lifetime, you might be able to reconnect with God. It's not easy, but and I think that's it. This is Power of Your Heart video. I hope you like it. If you did, please press the like. Write some good comments and help some other people with your comments. Share this video, send it to somebody. Maybe it will help them on their spiritual journey. But don't send them too many videos, too much at once. If you see they are on the fence, they are against this kind of stuff, Just do it once and maybe wait 10 years or 20 years and do it again. Because if you do it again and again, they'll block you. They'll just say, I don't want to hear any of this stuff. Like, I don't have time for religion. When people are not ready, they're not ready. So I thank you all for support. Thank you all for your donations. Thank you for all your lovely letters, emails, and I will see you next time. Much love to all of you from Belarus. Bye.